Alright, welcome back to Train Sim World 2, and we've got an absolute beast of a journey for us today. We are going to be taking this Class 47 all the way from Leeds down to Manchester. So this is quite a long one because this is based in the 1980s, so it's all old school. We've got old school signals, old school speed signs, old school train, which doesn't go super fast. But I'm super excited. This is going to be really cool. Alright, so here we are on board the train. So let's start getting things set up. We'll turn on the marker lights and desk lights because there are a couple of really cool tunnels on this route. So we'll keep that brake on, throttle off. Let's open up the doors. We have to use this menu because actually what happens on this train is... Wow, you are creepy. The passengers would open the doors themselves. They weren't like motorized doors or anything. But our passengers aren't smart enough to do that. So we just have to open the doors from the tab menu, which isn't exactly highly immersive, but it is the way we have to do it. I absolutely love this route and this train. The old school vibe, the sounds, it really is cool. So we have about 30 seconds to wait, and then we will be departing so we're leaving Manchester, going all the way to Leeds, but our next stop will be at Staley Bridge and then Huddersfield. Now, I am going to be running, let's just lock the doors. I am going to be running this route with the HUD on because I haven't done this before. I've tested this out and I drove for 5 or 6 minutes just to see how the train works, get used to the controls, find everything in the cabin. Which reminds me, there is a way up here. Ah, it's there now. That wasn't there earlier. So I had this one. Ooh, I'm not watching my speed. But that's very interesting because in the manual it said to find the AWS switch on this. Oh, see, it disappears as soon as I do this. So maybe I'm just a potato. I can only turn it on and then I have to turn this on, right? And then up here is our DSD. Okay, so we have safety systems. That's good. Okay, a bit of an incline, so we're going to have to give it some power. Right, so we do have safety systems. They're not particularly advanced, but we are going to be running with the HUD on because I struggled to find speed markers. So you'll see as we go along here, the speed will change, but I never really see any speed markers. So I'll have to practice this route, make some notes. I don't know if that's realistic. See, our speed now just went up to 40 miles an hour. There was no marker on the left-hand side there. So I don't know if that's realistic or if that's something that's missing from the game. But it's just going to take me a bit of time to run through the routes and learn where the different changes and things are. But seeing as this is my first time doing the full route, we're going to do it with the HUD on, which I don't particularly enjoy, but we need to start somewhere, and I figured I would start recording from scratch. Not only just jumping and doing the full route as realistically as possible, but get into doing the route and showing you guys, how I kind of start off. So there's most likely going to be mistakes along here, particularly with stopping. This train is quite hefty to get stopped, from what I understand. But as you can see, Early morning, so it's just before 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, not too early. Nice foggy day here in the UK. And we will be heading all the way down to Leeds from Manchester. Alright, I think the maximum speed we can do in this train, well, it says it right there, 95. I'm not sure if we actually ever get up to that speed on this route. However, I haven't done much of the routes. I think I made it to the first station, overshot, and that was kind of the end of my testing. So this is going to be interesting. Okay, all of a sudden the speed limit just came way down to 20, and we are going to swing around here. That's quite intense. Okay, see, now there was no warning for that. That was completely unexpected. All of a sudden, I mean, this instantly drops to 20, and then we take a really sharp corner. So that's something you would have to learn. And of course, in reality, the train drivers did and still do go through extensive training, and they have to learn these routes really well to be able to do this. Right, speed's now gone back up to 45 now. Right, the other thing I want to do is turn on this cabin light, and you'll see why in a bit. Because I've seen one tunnel, I believe there are two, and they are fairly long tunnels. It's not small, which is cool. So the first time I was testing out, I went into the first tunnel with no lights on and couldn't do anything. I couldn't use any of the controls because I couldn't see. So now we are at least prepared for that. And that's how the route learning goes. You mess up something, and then the next time you remember that it's going to happen. So I've at least made note that we need to have the lights on before we hit the tunnel, because finding the light switch in the tunnel is almost impossible. Believe me, I tried. Okay, speed just went up to 60. I didn't see any indication of that, but okay. Not exactly the fastest accelerating train, but I really, really like the look of this cockpit, cabin. It feels very mechanical. It feels, it feels like it should have grease on my hands. It's not a computer. It's a completely different feeling from when you look at like the ICE or something like that. That's all modern and digital, and it feels like a computer. This feels like a machine. Like, it feels like this was made to work. And I can only imagine how much more it would feel like that sitting in one of these for real. The brakes on this take a little getting used to, because it's the driver's brake. So if we put it into one of the braking positions and then set it back to release, well, not release, it's called running, which is what we're in now. Because the release, it doesn't stay there. So if we let go, it snaps back to running. But in the running position, it doesn't release the brakes. So if we set it to position 1 and then back to running, the brakes stay pressurized, I guess. And then you have to pop it into release and hold it there to actually, I guess, build up the pressure to release the brakes. I'm not exactly 100% sure how it works. I know it's all to do with air pressure and stuff, but that confused me the first time because I'm used to the newer trains. Right, that's now a speed of 50. See, I did see that board, but you don't really get any warning. So have a look. We'll pop this on, and now if we set that back to running, you'll see we're still losing speed. So we need to set that to release and then allow the brakes to actually stop slowing us down. And you have to actually be quite skilled at that. It's going to take a lot of practice to be able to release the brakes at the right time so that you slow down to the speed you want to slow down to. It's not like the other trains where when you get to the speed you want to be at, you just release the brakes and it speeds, well, doesn't speed up, but then kind of maintains that speed. This one, it takes a while to stop braking after you reset that handle. I'm not entirely sure the safety systems are actually doing anything, because I would have thought by now we would have had to acknowledge something, which we haven't. So I don't know if they actually had those safety systems on this old train, but I mean, they're there to turn them on, so I would have expected them to be working. But so far there hasn't been anything. We did have to acknowledge the AWS right in the beginning when we initialized the system. So it did its self-test and we acknowledged that. But since then, there's been absolutely nothing. It may just be, I don't fully understand the British safety systems yet. I've just finished, well, not really finished, but I've just spent a lot of time studying the German ones. And this is kind of my first introduction to the British ones. But I'm not fully sure how they work exactly, so I don't know if I would have expected to get some sort of signal that we needed to acknowledge by now, but we've had nothing, so we'll see how we go along the route. And we're now coming up to a mile before our first station, so we're going to need to be prepared to stop. I think this is a short tunnel. I think it's after the stop that we enter the first nice long tunnel. Yeah, now the speed jumps all the way up to 70, but we're not going to do that because we have to stop soon anyway. I think we'll kind of just coast it in. Now, I think that on this line, yeah, there's the yellow light. So at the station, we actually have a red light. So if we overshoot, that's telling us to slow down to 20, I think. If we overshoot, we don't just miss the station, we fail because we run a red light. Okay, that's telling us 15, which I guess we should have taken the 20 at the signal as a warning for that happening. It's going to take a lot of practice to get this braking right, to make sure we actually end up at the speed we want. Right, so this is the station platform. And at the end there is the red light, which we need to make sure we do not pass. At least the track speed has brought us all the way down to 15. Which means that going slowly like this is actually factored into the times for the station. And as you can see, we've got about pretty much exactly a minute when we stop before we should be ready to go. Right, let's start slowing down. Make sure we do not spad. Right, a little bit early, but I think that's not entirely terrible for our first try. Right, I don't know if this is realistic, but I like to put the straight brake on and then allow this brake to release pressure, so that, because the straight brake comes off like instantly. I don't think it's as effective as the driver's brake, but that means that we are ready to go. We don't have to wait for the brakes to release. See, that comes off very quickly. Oh, they want us to wait. Geez, we have to wait almost a minute. Let's take a look at the train then. So this is our Class 47. And we're a fairly long train. I think we were 9 units in total. And interesting, because it's just the one loco at the front. This carriage at the back's got it's like is that a full bathroom in there? It looks like a base. Oh no, it's just a chair, so I'm not sure what that is. No seats in it, but these are all got seats in. Right, we are ready to go. So let's release this guy. Let that come down, which we can see over there as well. And then we can start putting in power. And let's get moving. Okay, double check that the signal is green. Very important. And now we still have a speed restriction of 15. So let's see if we actually do get a speed limit, or if, like before, that just randomly jumps up to somewhere. On a bit of an incline, so we can give it a bit more power. But I really do like the sounds of this train. As you can really hear that diesel engine working as we add the power. Right, this might be the first long tunnel. I think there are 2. I've seen the first one, which I think is this one. I haven't seen the second one, but I'm sure I read somewhere that there were 2. Could be wrong though. Could have been another line that I was thinking of. Wow, this is really slow through the tunnel. I definitely wasn't doing this speed the first time I went through here. Right, there we go. Our speed's jumped up to 60 for some reason. I like how the mist fills the tunnel. Some people have said that it shouldn't do that. However, I think it depends on the tunnel, because I've seen tunnels fill up with mist like this for real. Okay, this wasn't a super long tunnel, but I've definitely seen mist do this in a tunnel, so it is possible. Right, let's see if we can haul this train all the way up to 60 k's an hour. I mean, it says it can do a maximum of 95. Whether we ever get to 95 is a completely different story. We're accelerating fairly decently. I reckon we've got 15 miles to go to Huddersfield, so we should be able to get it up to 60 within 15 miles. And again, just coming back to the sounds and the look of the train with all the scratches and the dirt, you just get the sense that this train is working hard. Those newer trains, it's all efficient, it's all clean. Which, don't get me wrong, it's really cool and I enjoy driving them, but it's just a very different vibe in these old school trains. So I think this is 1983. And the route apparently and the stations and the signage and everything is all accurate to the period, I believe. Right, let's have a go at the horn. I really don't like the high horns. I always prefer the low ones. Right, now the tunnel. Is this a long one or a short one? But, hey, there's another train. That's the other, one of the other types, train types. I can't remember the name. Because yeah, it's got different front when compared to our train. This is a really good looking line though. I should actually look up exactly how long this is, because I think, based on my estimations when I was just looking at the route earlier, I think this is going to take us about a full hour to get down the line. Cool how you see the signals change as we cross that into that block. Right, so we're still a power setting of 8 and just about maintaining 60 k's. I'm probably going to say knots just because I mostly do flying. So if I say 60 knots, I mean kilometers an hour. It's because I almost said knots there. Okay, we do have a little bit of an uphill. I find the, uphills and downhills in this game very difficult. Hey, another train. That's the third type of train that we get on this route. We'll drive them all at some point, don't worry. But the uphill and downhill, the gradients, I find it very, very difficult to judge just by looking out the window, because to me it actually kind of looks like we're going down, but according to our gradient there, we are ever so slightly climbing, 0.6 uphill gradient, but just looking out ahead it feels like we're going down. So I don't know if that's just me, but I've always found that difficult in this game particularly. Okay, all good, green signal. Still got 12 miles to go to Huddersfield, so quite a way to go. Hopefully we'll get a a bump up in the line speed shortly. Going through the trees here. This is really cool. Just two lines where we are currently. I'm really keen to get to the point where I can drive this train without needing the HUD, because all of the information on the HUD we can actually see in front of us except the speed and the gradient, which I'm less concerned about the gradient. So I can kind of judge, whether we're going up or hill or downhill, not by looking, because to me it looks like we're going full on downhill now, but you can tell by the speed. If the speed keeps dropping, then you need to give it more power because of the uphill gradient. But the one thing we don't get, which is what we have to learn, is the speed limit. Right, still 10 miles to go to Huddersfield, and we should be there in about, it's less than 10 minutes, 6 minutes. Okay, there's this speed restriction that I definitely didn't see. This, I think, is a nice long tunnel. That looks quite significant. Oh, speed's now back up to 65. Right, interesting. This is really cool though. I wonder, this is certainly the longest tunnel I've driven through. I wonder which route has the long... I mean, okay, I guess, aside from the underground, because that's... the Bakerloo line is all... is pretty much all tunnel. There is a section that's outside, but once you go underneath, the entire route is through a tunnel. But other than that, I wonder... because this seems like... this is a fairly significant tunnel. I mean, we were about 10 miles to go to Huddersfield when we entered. So we'll see when we come out. I'm not sure there should always be a light at the end of the tunnel like that. Mind you, this is pretty much dead straight, so I guess it is possible that you could see all the way out, or all the way to a light at the end like that. Does now seem to be getting closer, so I think we are actually coming to the end. No? So we've done about 2 miles so far in the tunnel. There is a signal, so I wonder if the signal is near the exit. Green signal, which is perfect. That looks like the end of the tunnel up ahead. Oops. Looking at the tunnel, not paying attention to the speed. It's definitely something. End of the tunnel and straight under a bridge after that. Oh, this is quite a sharp turn. Yep, I should think that should have a speed limit way less than 60. And it is in fact 40, which we had no warning about. Well, okay, that's very abrupt. Okay, so about 3 miles in the tunnel, which is cool. Okay, we just managed to get to 40 and now the speed limit's back up to 55. So, I don't know, we're gonna have to do some serious note-taking along this route at some point to get all these speed restrictions down. Because I just don't see any indications. I mean, there we just drove past one, but that was for the track on the other side saying 15. And I saw absolutely nothing to do with speed. And looked at that corner coming out the tunnel. That's pretty sharp, but the speed restriction still says 60 right now. Oh, now we can go up to 65. And then we hit that turn and it's like, oh, by the way, you should be doing 40 now. Yeah, I'm not complaining. For all I know, that maybe it's like that in the real world, or was like that in 1983, where you just had to know where the speed changes were. I would have expected there to be signs everywhere, but who knows? I mean, if it is realistic, then that's great. If it's not, and it's just been left out of the game for whatever reason, then that's not cool. Okay, we need to get some braking in here. So this is where the braking system that works the way this one does becomes really cool, because I can just set those brakes to position 1 and then I can let go and set it back to release, and it'll just maintain that pressure, or not release, it's actually called running, but it'll just maintain that pressure and keep us slowing down as we go down the hill. I mean, I guess that's not really any different from just leaving it in position 1 on the other trains, so what am I actually talking about? Never mind, as you were. Right, so 1% downhill gradient, which is not insignificant. You can see we definitely are picking up speed even though we're coasting. So let's try out the straight brake. I should have a keyboard for this. There we go. I mean, that's also works perfectly, maintaining our speed. Okay, 4 miles to go to Huddersfield. What's after that? So then we stop at Dewsbury. And we should be there. So it's another 11 minutes or so from Huddersfield to the next station. Right, no LZB, AFB, cruise control, anything like that. This is all on me to keep the speed here. Which in a way, depending on how you're feeling, I guess, it's a lot more interesting. Because, I mean, if we were just sitting with LZB and AFB enabled at the moment, we would literally be doing nothing but SEFA. which if we had to do that for a full hour without clicking anything other than the cipher, yeah, I don't know how interesting that would be to do more than once. But this way, we've got to keep paying attention the entire time, which also gives me something to talk about in these videos, which is great. Oh, those fallen logs that we just drove past, apparently that's part of the, like, I don't know what they call them, like tasks or something that you can do, where you go around and you like place notice boards and pick up cones and collect things. Those trees, we're supposed to move them, but I don't quite see how we're supposed to do that. Do they want us to stop the train and actually get out and move the tree? I mean, if that is it, I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to stop the train there randomly to move a tree. Because also, once you see the tree, and we were doing 65 k's an hour, we see the tree, it's going to take a long time to stop, and you're either going to have to reverse or run all that way to pick up the tree, and then, I mean, your times are going to be just miles off if you do that. Okay, let's start slowing down, because we are at 70 and on a downhill, almost 70, 65, and on a downhill, and we have a station coming up in 1 mile. So we'll gently start bringing down the speed. Probably a little less gently than that, to be fair. Driving significantly over speed limit. The speed limit is 50 and we're doing 30. Right, we're still on the downhill, so we can actually coast in here with the power. At 0, at 20, we'll put in a little bit of braking. There's the yellow, which means we have to be stopped by the next signal because it's red, or we lose. If that happens, you guys will never know because I'll just re-record the video probably. Because I'll have to start all over again. Okay, we definitely don't want to stop here. What are we supposed to be doing? 15. Oh wow, we're going this side. That's unexpected. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Huddersfield. Where is the red signal? There it is. I quite like using this, what is it called, the straight brake for this kind of stop, because it has that, not quite an instant release, but it's a lot quicker than the driver's brake. Ooh, the signal is actually this red one on our left-hand side, so let's stop and we'll open up the doors, and we're actually on time. We're a little bit early actually, I think. And there are our lovely passengers getting on. Well, those look like they all just got off. Did see one person get on. Okay, we're 10 seconds ahead of schedule. That is new. Right, let's close up the doors. And we're ready to go. So onward to Dewsbury, and we've got just over 10 minutes to get there. So I've tried a couple of times actually to make a video on the Bakerloo line, which is the tube. But that I just found absolutely impossible to actually get the timings. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I just, right off the bat from the first station that we have to stop at, I'm behind the schedule and I just get further and further and further behind. So that is something I'm going to have to practice quite a lot. And it seems like just the easiest route, and it's the one that I can just never be on time. This one, we're pretty much perfectly on time. Okay, we can go up to 40 now. But that Bakerloo line, I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm just really bad, or if maybe the times are not correct. I've never watched anyone else do it, so it's most likely that I'm just not doing it correctly. We can go all the way up to 70. Right, 6.5 miles to Dewsbury, so kind of half the distance that we did from, I can't remember the name of the first station, but to the one we just stopped at, which was Huddersfield. So we should, in theory, according to the timetable, be there in about 8 minutes, just over 8 minutes. Nice downhill, so we're picking up speed nice and quickly. So I wonder if those were because we've been through 2 tunnels. I don't know if you count the first little one that we went through. We've been through 2 significant tunnels, so I wonder if that's it for tunnels on this route, or if there are more. Right, and because we have a little bit of downhill, we can just coast along. Just over 5 miles to go. And we're expected to be there in about 7 minutes. I definitely don't think the safety systems are doing anything, because by now we really should have had to acknowledge something. Okay, let's get a little bit of braking going. Whoa, okay. Well, some warning about that speed restriction would have been nice. Okay, we are very fast now, and I'm a little bit worried because I was fully expecting when I saw how sharp that bend was for us to actually derail there, which would have been very awkward. If we derail from this point onwards, I think I'd be super bleak because we're about 45 minutes into this recording. And I think if I derail now, that's where the video will end and it'll still go up because I don't want to start this all over again. At least tonight. I'll do it. I'll definitely do this route again at some point, but I don't want to start it over again tonight from scratch. No, we can go all the way up to 80 now. So those speed restrictions, I really, really wish. And right in the beginning, we had a signal with a speed above it that got us to slow down before the speed restriction. But so far, after that, we haven't had anything like that. And it's really catching us out because we get to those super sharp bends or that point where we switch tracks. And it's just, you know, there we like 30 k's over the speed that we should be doing. That's safe on that part of the track. I'm surprised we didn't actually derail ourselves there. Right, we can just blast through the station. Okay, I've got to keep an eye on that distance to the next station because we're now all the way up to 80 k's an hour, so we're going to need to start braking 1.2 miles-ish. We can start braking gently. Doesn't have to be hectic. And then just keep an eye on our speed and the distance. Because for the last station we were doing 65. We started braking about a mile out and we were a little bit, you know, we slowed down a little bit earlier than we needed to, so that was all right. But this time we've got a lot more speed. All right, 1.6 miles out. Oh wow, and our speed limit just came down. That is terrifying. I mean, we probably should have derailed there, to be honest. Okay, we're now a mile out and we're only doing 40, so we can put on some power here for a bit. The only thing is this route is really long to learn all of those speed changes with no signals. Well, not signals, no speed boards. Like, that's going to be pretty intense. And I don't see any like distance markers aside from on the actual signals, which are very far apart in terms of spacing. So we might have to write down landmarks or something to make notes of where all the different speed changes are. For all I know, I don't know what that signal was telling me. So that one says 50 though. We're already below 50, but we need to actually start slowing down quite significantly. I'm waffling on and not paying attention, but I don't actually know what that signal before that was saying. So it's very possible that something like that... Okay, well, that was not a good stop. We are very, very early. But I'll have to do some research on those signals, because it is entirely possible that that signal was telling me to slow down. Because I find it highly unlikely how... Okay, that's... Hey, I did say at the start of the stream, not the stream, I did say at the start of the video that I would make mistakes, and I did say it would most likely be mistakes with stopping. I was thinking that we were going to stop late, but yeah, this is definitely one of those mistakes with stopping. I mean, I guess you guys, you can walk between, so you can still get out. There's enough of the train on the platform to be able to get out. I mean, there's a little bit, but there's enough. Not the best effort. But hey, I guess it could have been worse. Right, we're just about ready to go, so let's close the doors. Sorry guys, you are too late. Hey, there comes another train on the other side. That's the same as us. Right, let's get all the power. Okay. So what's that? Just under 10 minutes, so... No, just over 10 minutes. Looking at that, I was like, that doesn't add up. Just over 10 minutes. And then, oh, we're going to Leeds, so that's the final station. So that'll be just under an hour, I think, total drive time on this route, which is pretty close to what I said at the beginning. And I must say, so far, I've really enjoyed this route. I love this train. The scenery is really cool. We go through the trees. We go through the tunnels. I need to learn the signals, because I'm sure, see these, like old school semaphore signals, they must be telling us something to do with speed. I refuse to accept that there's just no indication that you need to slow down. Right, so now because we have a round number 9:40, now I can do the math. So we're about 13 minutes out from Leeds, 7 miles. And we're going to go up to 60 k's an hour. Let me maybe see if I can read up a bit on those semaphore signals while we're doing this last 10 minutes. Okay, so those signals, I don't see anything yet about speed. But if it's yellow, so horizontal yellow means caution, horizontal red means stop. And then if it's at a 45-degree angle, which, I mean, this I did already know. So horizontal is stop, or caution if it's yellow. Angled at a 45-degree means clear. So the distance signals are the yellow ones. Okay, but that doesn't really help us because we have the lights telling us all that already on this route. So is there anything on these signals about speed? It doesn't seem like it. I mean, I'm just really skimming through this quickly. Okay, 4.5 miles to go. Alright, so those signals with the white kind of semaphore position lights on top, those are the signals with a junction indicator. So, and there's a whole thing about junction indicators, so I need to definitely read up on those. Right, there's a whole section on speed indicators, but they're nice big white boards with black writing and red outlines, which we never see, but those are the new ones. On this route we've... Okay, now we need to slow down. We've got the old ones, which are just the numbers, basically on a stick. I mean, it's a pole, not a stick, but yeah. They're definitely nowhere near as easy to read as the new ones, the big round circular ones, white background, black writing, red outline. Okay, 3 miles to go. Aha. Blanket speed restrictions are used when it's necessary for trains to run more slowly over a large area. And they are... Oh, the drivers are informed directly by the signaller, and they receive a printout with that information. That could be a reason why we don't see any speed boards. I'm not sure that's the answer. Okay, temporary speed restrictions. It's not that we don't have any of those boards either. I don't see anything to do with speed. So I'll have to do some research on this line and see if I can find out how we are supposed to know the speed when there's no board. I think I'm going to start coasting because I'm going to predict that fairly shortly we're gonna have to start slowing down. Also do have a little bit of a gradient. Okay, 1.6 miles. There's another train. That's a very small train. Right, let's start braking, because there's going to be some hectic speed restriction down to like 40. That's my prediction. Don't see anything so far. There it is. Didn't see any indication that that needed to happen, but there's our needing to slow down, yellow signal. So that has a junction indicator, but the lights weren't on. I don't know what that means yet. I'm gonna have to read up on that. Okay, there's a speed indicator. So that's saying 20, and that's perfectly fine. We can do 20, and that's perfect. If they just had those everywhere, then I could work with that. Oh wow, we're on quite a slope. And this signal has a speed restriction of 50. Interesting, because we're already doing 20. Or is that 5? Oh, I don't... Wow, it's some... Oh, but 10 comes from that one, not from the signal. So there we have 10. I think that's that number on top of the signal. That wasn't a speed, it was a route. Something to do with marking the route. Wow, 10 feels so slow when the station is that far away. But mind you, we're doing a lot of track switching here, so it makes sense. These little signals I know what to do with shunting. So they're connected to one of these main signals, and they show you what that is saying, basically. But you only really need to worry about them, I believe, if you are doing shunting work. Ours are white anyway, which means, I think, means we can go past them. As I said, fairly new to train sim. I've only started doing this about 2 weeks ago, so got a lot to learn. Right, but welcome to Leeds, ladies and gentlemen. We are gonna just roll into the station nice and slowly. And make sure we stop before that red signal there at the end. Let's see if we can make this stop a little better than the previous one. Wait, no, the previous one was fine. It was the one before that we missed by like half the platform, I think. The last thing we want to do is spat this signal, so... Right, let's open the doors, and I believe we should set this to full service. Is that full service? Must be. That's most likely full service, I think. And this guy should be all the way up, I think, as well. Oh no, mind you, we've got this one on. Right. And let's have a look. So I didn't get a massively good ribbon. Is that a silver? I think that's silver. But it's most likely because of Dewsbury, where we missed by 84.6 yards. Other than that, our speeds were alright. We can most definitely do better, but those big areas, I don't know how we're supposed to predict those, but I'm definitely going to do some research into this route and how it works. Alright, so that brings us to the end of our Class 47 run. A nice, lovely old school 1983 train all the way from Manchester down to Leeds. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, let me know down below. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, feel free to let me know, and I will see you in the next video.